So before I get into my thoughts on the game, I just want to give a little rendition of how I feel the development process of this probably went. Okay, everybody, we're going to be making another Pokemon game. It's going to be successful and it's going to be great because they're one unbroken chain of quality all the way back to red and blue. I'm really happy about this. The development team are going to be here for the meeting. This whole thing is going to be incredible. Oh, sorry guys, that's my phone. Hello there?
Hi. Yeah, this is the head of the development team. I've come down with something. I can't make the meeting.
Oh, that's okay then. So you'll be here we can just reschedule tomorrow.
I think I'm gonna be under the weather for the next 6 months. I'm not gonna be able to. Yeah, so I'm gonna be under the weather for the next 6 months.
Oh, that's okay then. We have a whole other development team and we have all this money we made from Three Houses and Pokemon Go and like a re-release of Yellow as Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu.
About that. The whole team has come down with something, and we can't really do anything for the next 6 months. All of us. We didn't go on a vacation to Vegas or something like that, and we're all it's bad luck. We just somehow all got sick at the same time.
Oh, well, that's too bad. I don't know, like, what are we going to do then? We have to have this game come out and it's going to have to be really good.
Well, the thing is, we have this. We were originally gonna make like After Sun and Moon. We weren't sure how big the Switch was gonna be, so we had this other 3DS Pokemon game. It was gonna be Mace and Flail, and that didn't really like go anywhere because the Switch was a big hit. So what we could do while we're on the phone, I'm just gonna open up my email here. Okay, I got my email open. I'm just gonna click and drag. Okay, here's the beta for the 3DS game. Just I don't know, put on a Switch cartridge and release that. That's all I got for you.
So what you're. Oh, thank you. Okay, well, at least even if you couldn't be here and help with the game development process, at least you could phone it in. At least you could phone into this meeting and send in a half finished beta for a completely different console that's like a generation behind. I don't know. It's Pokemon. It's going to be good. I mean, when was the last time something that people liked turned out to be a disaster?
The season finale of Game of Thrones.
Well, thank you then. Let's put her out there. And yeah, that's how I think the development process for Pokemon Sword and Shield went. I'm honestly convinced that this was a 3DS game that they didn't get around to releasing, or this was like just leftover shit from, I don't know, the last couple games, and they just kind of cobbled it together and just put it out there. Because this is like this is one of the most phoned in things I've ever seen. Like, I can't believe how little effort they put into this. It's kind of embarrassing. So, I guess you're going to be saying, Argent, why did you buy Pokemon Sword and Shield? Or in my case, why did you buy Pokemon Shield? Well, generally speaking, I found the Pokemon games have almost all been good. The only generation I didn't play was Black and White 1. I did play Black and White 2, but Platinum's probably my favorite. Red, I had Yellow, Gold, Emerald. I played Ruby. I played the remake of Ruby. I had Pokemon X. I got both Sun and Ultra Sun because I liked it so much. The Pokemon games have generally been a pretty safe bet. It used to be what Zelda games were prior to Skyward Sword. I mean, in Fire Emblem games are still kind of like this with me. If they're putting one out, I just buy it. I just assuming it's probably going to be good. And there was a lot of hate for this game before it came out, but there was a lot of hate for Three Houses. I don't think people remember that. Three Houses, which turned out to be amazing, best Fire Emblem game probably ever in my opinion, got so much hate. People said it was phoned in. People said it was a piece of crap. People said it was like all these things, but it was amazing. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is just The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Maybe it's not going to be this bad this time. But it was. Like, this doesn't look like a Switch game. Granted, the Switch is kind of underpowered compared to other current generation consoles. But, like, the models look horrible. Like, the graphics don't look better than they did on the 3DS. It looks like they've slightly upped the resolution so it's not blurry. Like, it's like in 720p now. But it looks like they just took a 3DS game and just ran a bunch of anti-aliasing on it and upped the resolution. They're just like, we're just going to put it out there. And so why do I say this? What am I rambling on about? This is like, it's so lazy. Okay, so none of the Pokemon games have really been big on having a story. I mean, they've had kind of an outline of a story. You had like Team Rocket in the first couple. Gold and Silver, you had a bit more of a story, stuff involving Team Rocket. You had some reoccurring characters. You often will have Team Magma or like Team Plasma or someone who's trying to like take over the world. Generally speaking, I think people consider Black and White to have been the most developed story-wise. Sun and Moon are interesting because I feel like with Sun and Moon, they really tried to make the story front and center and to make it more of like a campaign or more of like a traditional RPG. And I think Sun and Moon, like, they kind of missed the mark a bit. Like, the cutscenes were too long. A lot of the characters were kind of annoying. But I'll give it credit. It was a bit more kiddie in terms of its tone. But if I had been like younger, like I don't know, even if I was still in like my teens or something, I probably would have loved it. As it was, I really like appreciate what they tried to do. I don't think they succeeded, and maybe it's just it was just felt more kiddie. Like, cause I can go back, like when I was replaying Omega Ruby, I didn't feel like it was a kid's game, but Sun and Moon kind of did in terms of the story. But I can appreciate and respect what they were trying to do. They were trying to do something a little different. They were trying to mix up the formula. They were trying to make it a bit more character driven, a bit more plot based. And I respect that. I think it largely succeeded. This one, there's no story whatsoever. Like, I've never seen, like, Red and Blue have more of a story than this. Like some random, I don't know, like, shitty spin-off Pikachu game is more of a story than this. I don't even like know. I just like the beginning of the game is just like really, really short, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna have to sit through tutorial levels, but I don't know a single character's name. I think I can recognize like one person on site. There's like not a lot of dialogue in this game. Nothing about it makes sense. Like there's some like apocalyptic myth about like these giant Pokemon and the hero in the Day of Darkness, and none of it's really explained, and there's no characters or anything interesting. So like, why would you give a shit? Like it's and then the maps are just like bullshit. The maps are just like flat or slightly hilly areas with just Pokemon walking around. So like, I guess it's kind of neat that there's not random encounters in the same way, but like, it doesn't even like make sense which Pokemon are in a specific area. So, like, and they don't, because normally they have it tiered to a certain extent in Pokemon games, so you won't find like a Dratini at the beginning of the game. You'll find it like in a late game area. Like, and there's normally a lot of the stronger Pokemon are only in late game areas, but in this case, like, it's just random. It just feels like they didn't care. So you'll find extremely powerful Pokemon, at least their lower level forms, like right at the beginning of the game. And it's just like, and they're in places where it isn't appropriate for them to be. And they just kind of took a mismatch from previous games and just kind of threw them in there. I actually think they kind of give,
Like, I was a little optimistic when they said wasn't going to be a national dex. Because even though I like the whole idea of it, I was thinking, okay, maybe we're going to have just a more organic game experience. And we're just going to be able to focus on the newer Pokemon without having to worry about getting like the perfect team from the last 5 generations. But they still did that. They just like, you just randomly find these like end game Pokemon or these like really good ones just lying around. And there's really no incentive to train most of them or to try to make a team. It's very, I don't know how to put it just other than to say it's lazy. And then they added raids in. I don't know why there's raids in a Pokemon game. They added that in. They added camping in, and camping is like the lamest shit I've ever seen. Like, once again, the pop-up world thing in Sun and Moon had some issues with it, but it was way better than this. They also got rid of the global trading system. Now, this is baffling to me, because that was, to me, like, and to a lot of people, was revolutionary. So how the global trading system had worked, and I had actually not really even like known about this until I think it was Omega Ruby or something, was the first one I got that still had an active trading system, where you would put up a Pokemon for trade and ask for a Pokemon in return, and the system would handle it so you couldn't get screwed. And this was useful because like you could put up a Kadabra and ask for a Kadabra, and you trade them and you get an Alakazam because there's a lot of trade exclusive Pokemon. And like the people will be like, oh, well, you just trade with your friends. Well, even if you have friends, they might not have a Switch and they might not have that generation of Pokemon. And it's just a pain. So like that was really helpful, but they took it out. So you can still trade with your friends, but you can only trade with your friends. You can only trade with your friends. You can't trade with random people. And then they put in random trade, which is basically the same thing as Wonder Trade, where you just get a random Pokemon back, basically. So I guess that's kind of the same, but they like took that out. They just made the level design complete garbage. The cities are a lot smaller now, which sounds like it should be a good thing, but they're just kind of boring and uninteresting. It just feels so amateurish. It feels like this was nowhere near ready to release. It feels like I'm playing an alpha and I'm just kind of walking around in the world and like they haven't bothered to put a bunch of shit in. It just feels like I'm playing like some procedurally generated, like, I don't even know how to describe how much this sucks. And I'm gonna get through it just because I like Pokemon and I like the gameplay. Like the core series gameplay is the same. And you still got to catch them all, and there's still like the fun RPG elements. It's still fun to build your team. But this is like the most cynical, heartless, soulless, phoned in project of a video game I think I've seen in a long time. And for Nintendo to do this, with a Pokemon game, and in particular a main series Pokemon game, because Nintendo puts all kinds of shitty spin-offs. Nintendo are whores. They do shitty spin-offs. They do rebrandings. They do slightly different versions of the same thing. That's what Nintendo's known for. But to do this with a main series Pokemon game is really shameful in my opinion. And yeah, that's my thoughts on the matter. I gotta say, I'm not impressed. I was very, very pleasantly surprised and impressed by Three Houses. I am not having the same reaction to this game. So those are my thoughts on the matter, and I'll talk to you guys soon.